So I've been getting back into Escape from Tarkov, which is a survival tactical first-person shooter from Battlestate Games. And even though it technically released 6 years ago, it's still in beta and available for purchase. Tarkov is interesting. I tried it a bit last year and maybe played 20 or 30 hours before kind of bouncing off. I had some friends that were kind of trying to show me the ropes, but I'm trying to get back into it, and I'm playing solo Tarkov. It's been an interesting experience getting back into it. One of the things that I think is kind of tough getting into a game like this, and especially this one, is that there isn't really much in the way of tutorials and onboarding, so it kind of just throws everything at you at once. So when you first get into the game, you kind of just spend a lot of time doing this, just wandering around, trying to find loot and items. You're not really sure what you can interact with and what you can't, and you're just kind of really feeling around in the dark. However, all that being said, I do really love survival games, and Tarkov really nails this feel of being alone in a hostile environment. That's really exciting. So it's a PvE VP game, so you can encounter AI that are scavengers, or there are different bosses and other factions you can encounter, along with PMCs, which are the player characters. There's also, a sort of food and hydration system, so you need to make sure that you're keeping your energy and water levels up. There are a number of things that can affect those and reduce them, so it's also, I forgot to mention, an extraction game. So you're going to be going in and you're looting and getting out alive with that loot so that you can then use it to upgrade your hideout, which gives you access to better things while you are in game as well. Performing certain actions allows you to increase certain stat bonuses that will just give you, a better surviving chance in the long run. So here I was just kind of wandering around the scav village, trying to find an exit, and came across a scavenger. Had a very messy gunfight with them, but was able to come out for the better on the other end with just a little bit of damage. So when I did play Tarkov, oddly enough, the map I was most familiar with was Woods, this map that we're on right now. I say oddly enough because it's not really a new player-friendly map. It's kind of like a sniper's haven. You can get hit from anywhere. And here I am. I know there's an extraction here, so I'm just going to kind of try and get there. But as I get there, I realize, this is a paid extraction, another system that's not really clearly explained, and I instantly start taking shots from somewhere. I can't identify the shots, and that's the end of my raid. So we start up our next raid, and I also forget that when things are dark in Tarkov, they are very dark. Even though I started at like 5 a.m. or just before 6 a.m. here, it's basically pitch black, and I spend the first part of this raid just feeling around in the dark, trying to figure out where I am and where I'm going. The other thing that Tarkov really doesn't do is give you any sort of signposting on where you need to go and what you need to be doing. There's no in-game map. I mean, technically there are, but there's no in-game map in terms of like how you would think about it in any sort of other modern game. There's nothing you can kind of pull up and reference really quickly. I think you can find some maps, but they're not really utilized. The tool that I'm using is actually called Map Genie, which I think is the tool that is most utilized by players. I'll link that in the description so you can check that out as well. So oftentimes I'm stopping while I'm playing so I can check Map Genie and try and figure out where I am based on landmarks and references and determine where I need to go. The other thing that's not clearly indicated, you'll sometimes see me pull it up, is where you can extract, but those extractions are not clearly indicated to the players. So again, you just have to sort of know where those are. So again, why a tool like Map Genie is super important. So I'm kind of starting from scratch here. I do have the Edge of Darkness edition of Tarkov, which is the most expensive, but it gives you kind of a few extra bonuses when you get going. You have some better starting equipment. You have a better secure container. A secure container is basically part of your inventory that you will not lose should you die in a raid, because that's the other thing, is if you die in a raid, you lose everything that's on you. However, if you put things in your secure container, you can get them out even if you do die. So if you find an important quest item or something like that, you can always get it out. But basically, we're kind of starting from scratch here. So this is a really risky crossing that I'm making, but I know that there's a boss up sort of to my right, and I spot a player also doing this crossing, and I try and take a mid-range gunfight with a close-range weapon out in the open, and it ends about as you would expect. All right, so I'm a little frustrated now, and I decide to come into Factory, which is a smaller map, a little bit more action-packed, just to get in some fights, and I spawn as a scavenger. So basically, you don't risk your inventory or your main character. You just get a random loadout as a scavenger. You start a little bit later in the raid. I try and pick this fight here, and it doesn't go great either. I don't know Factory very well, so that was an expected result. All right, let's try Woods one more time. Off the rip here, I'm kind of, again, just getting situated, trying to figure out where I am. I do find a better gun than my sort of starting pistol. Maybe not better, but something that I can use at mid to long range. So that's a bit of a bonus. So I load that up and get ready to go here. So the other thing that you're often looking for are items that you are going to utilize to upgrade your hideout. So here I am taking a measuring tape that I know I need for, I believe, security in my hideout, and I'm throwing it in my secure container. So that way, if I do die, I won't lose it, but I can still use it to upgrade my hideout. So I've gotten a couple things. I picked up that measuring tape that I need for the hideout, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, let's start making our way over to that exit just past the scavenger village. Can take a quick second to have a drink. We're going to be careful as we cross this field because I did hear some shots over there. And this is the moment that I remember and realize that we did try that extraction point earlier, but we needed rubles to utilize it, and I definitely do not have that money on me. So now we're going to go the long way, all the way to the outskirts extraction. And as a new player and as a solo player, this is kind of like the the main Tarkov experience. It's just kind of running around by yourself, not really certain where to go, and you're just kind of exploring the map. But I do really enjoy this feeling of isolation and that feeling of sort of not knowing and trying to figure out, what do I have to do? Where do I have to go? What's safe? What's dangerous? There's so much that the game doesn't explain to you, and it's kind of comparable to something like a Dark Souls or a FromSoft game where everything is very mysterious and you kind of have to feel around and die a lot to figure things out. Like I said, I'm a little bit more familiar with Woods, and I have used this extraction quite a bit. So I know that if I head this way, we're eventually going to see some warning signs for mines, and then I can hang it hard right and immediately get to the extraction. It's usually a safe thing to do until you hit a mine. So even though I knew that they were there, I still hit them. So now I'm going to have to hide in a bush and heal myself up and hope that I can get out of here alive. The medical system or the healing system in Tarkov isn't super clear. So here I am trying to figure out okay, I think I need a bandage. Oh, did I not bring a bandage? I think I lost it because I died. So, okay, can I use a CMS kit to stitch myself up a little bit? But I think as I was doing that animation, my limb actually blacked out. So I don't know if this is going to work, or maybe I cancel the animation too soon. Right, because it was bleeding, so I didn't, even though I used the CMS kit, it just blacked out again. And this is me just trying to stitch myself back up and pray that a PMC or a scav didn't hear that and come over and put me out of my misery. So here I spot the extraction. I'm in the zone, and I just lay down on the grass and, again, pray no one finds me. And that's our first successful raid. Made it out. So we can use that tape measure and upgrade security. And I think this might be new. I don't remember seeing this before. I'm going to mop the floor. I don't know what this does for this defective wall. I guess we'll find out. So for the next raid, I decided to try customs because I'm a little bit familiar with this map, but then I quickly realized I don't know where any of these extractions are. So I spend the bulk of this raid walking around trying to figure out where these extractions are. However, this is also probably the most action-packed raid that I had this day. Right off the jump, I run into this scav, get a couple really bad shots off, and eventually drop them. Once we finish looting that scav, I come through this checkpoint and immediately again see another scav running across and have probably the messiest gunfight I've ever had in Tarkov. The other thing to keep in mind when you're having gunfights like this is there are a lot of stats and RPG sort of type elements at play, depending on the type of armor someone's wearing, whether they're wearing a helmet or not. All of those things can factor into how they're being affected by the bullets that you're throwing at them. Oof, messy. So I loot that scav, I pulled off a bit of a nicer rifle, and again, immediately this scav finds me through the bush, and I think I get off a couple lucky shots, because I definitely did not see them. Also, my weapon jammed there, and I couldn't figure out how to deal with it. I remember that this is a thing in Tarkov, and there's a way to inspect your weapon and then remove the jam, but I can't remember what key it is. So here I am, looting and trying to desperately remember how to do that. And while I do that, I hear the bushes rustle, and somehow this scav also didn't see me and kind of knelt down beside me. And this is kind of what I did for the rest of the raid. This is me hiding in a corner, looking at Map Genie, trying to figure out where these extractions are. Because again, they're not super clear. They have really obscure names like ZB013. Even on Map Genie, it's not super clear where those exits are because they're in basements of buildings, but it's not clearly indicated which basement belongs to which building. This is kind of how I spent most of the raid, just running around in circles or hiding in corners, referencing my map, trying to figure out how to get out of here. Eventually I find the gas station, and I didn't think this was one of my exits, but I catch this other player running around, and I feel they were a new player because I don't think they really knew what they were doing. Kind of like me. So I know that these flares mean that this is activated, or I should theoretically be able to get out here, but it's so dark in here that I can't figure this out. So this is me watching a YouTube video on how to actually access this exit. Again, you really just have to use a lot of external resources when you're trying to learn this game. In the end though, I do find the stairs at the back. There's sort of a door there that was hidden, and I am able to extract. And we had a couple successful raids today. At the end of the day, Escape from Tarkov is an interesting game, but it's also weirdly addictive. There's really good hooks there. So I'm definitely going to be checking it out more, hoping to get it into some more fights so I can work on combat, work on my map knowledge, just keep leveling, keep building up my hideout and, you know, my equipment and my stash. Probably going to die a lot more, and hopefully you'll join me on this adventure. Thanks, and we'll catch you in the next one.